Nancy, thank you so much for having me to your studio today. I want to talk all about your art and your influences, but let's start with when you fell in love with art.
Well, I've been drawing since I was little. It was pretty much all I had to do, like when I was younger. So paper and pencil is always easy to get a hold of. So just have been kind of drawing ever since I can kind of remember, like elementary schoolish. I have tons of sketchbooks and drawings from when I was younger. So it's just something I've always done.
Were you good at it even as a kid?
As a kid, kid drawings, I guess.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The difference between your kid drawings and my kid drawings is probably vast. I was just never good at it. So did you kind of have a handle on it?
I think so. I tended to copy a lot of Disney, like VHS covers, or in the little golden books I like to copy.
So when did you decide that you were going to pursue this? Was it a concrete decision, or did you think you were just going to dabble?
It was probably, I would say, high schoolish. When you start thinking about college, what do you want to do in your career? And I kept thinking about other things that were more of like professional type jobs, but I always came back to it. And so I finally took the plunge and went to art school.
So now you do primarily oil, is that correct?
Yes.
What got you to that point? What kind of made you decide that of all the media you were going to start painting and use oil?
School probably, it would be the big reason for that. A lot of the painting classes were oil painting classes, and I just grew to love the medium. I've played with acrylics and I just don't like it as much. I just feel at ease with the oil paints.
Let's talk about your biggest influence now, which is meditation.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because my brain just doesn't want me to meditate.
It is hard.
Yes.
It is hard to do. Your brain is an active place.
Yes. So it's amazing to me that not only do you get to that space, but then you use that to create. So tell me all about that.
So I'll start from where it kind of started, which was back in college. So we had to do paintings, abstract paintings, and it happened to be when there was a Buddhist group in town and they were doing a San mandala on the campus. And that just got me hooked into it. And then so I started looking more into it. And that time in your life, you're usually anxious because of school, trying to figure out life. And I found it as a way to calm myself down, but also as a visual for others too. And so it just kind of grew from there.
This is probably a stupid question, but when you are meditating, are you seeing what ends up on the canvas, or is it just that piece that then allows you to create?
Usually the piece that allows me to create most of the time. More of my meditative one, you can see, I usually start out with the mandala shape, so like a circle or a square or a lotus type shape. And then sometimes I'll put a mantra on it, so it's kind of like a prayer or a saying that I kind of want to repeat over and over and kind of instill. And then it just kind of morphs from there.
Is that what all of your work is now, based on meditation?
It varies. Lotuses I am obsessed with, so not all of them are mantras and mandalas. Some of them are just lotus paintings because I just love the symbology of a lotus flower.
So when did you decide that that was probably going to be your exclusive inspiration, or do you even see it that way?
I think it just happened over time. Like it's something that I just kept coming back to.
How has your work evolved? Obviously it's changed. How so?
With the mantras and mandalas, over time I've noticed now that I have a collection of them, they have gotten calmer over time. So the older ones, if you look back through my portfolio, there are a lot of lines, very active. And then some of the newer ones are a bit more calm, more solid colors in them, solid spaces, so not as hectic looking.
And that's because you think your mind has calmed down?
I think so.
What do you hope people learn, or at the very least see, when they see your work?
I hope they can find some sort of peace themselves, just something to look at and chill out to, kind of.
So are you encouraging meditation through your pieces?
Yes, if they feel like using it that way, it could just be a pretty piece for them to smile at in a day. But if they can use it for meditation, that would be great too.
I want to talk a little bit about your actual process. The meditation notwithstanding, how are you going about choosing your colors and executing? How does it work when you're looking at a blank canvas?
A lot of thinking and meditating on it, kind of. Sometimes, I guess, other times I just kind of go with it. But a lot of it, I start out with a mantra, something that is inspiring, and then I kind of think of what might go with it. Most of the colors, I tend to lean towards red's my favorite color, so you see a lot of red paintings, and then teals. But some of my recent mantras and mandalas have been more celestial looking, so a lot of space and stuff like that. But that was based off of the idea of that the universe is within you. Like, you don't just exist in the universe, but you are the universe too. And so that's what spurred the whole celestial painting series that I have out there right now.
That's such a big idea. You don't just exist in the universe, but it is within you. Is it ever daunting to take on these big mantras and these, huge themes and try to relay them in your work?
I wouldn't find it daunting. It's because it's more for me than others. Like, I want other people to enjoy it too, but it is very kind of selfish in a sense, because it is a way for me to kind of express those ideas.
So much like a songwriter would, go to the piano or the guitar, you go to a canvas. How long does it generally take you from start to finish to impart those ideas?
It varies. Usually a month or so, but it is oils, so you do you have to wait for it to dry. So you do a little bit, you come back, you can fiddle with it. But if I would say around a month-ish.
The fact that you can't do it all at once, does that ever create frustration when you have this inspiration and you can't make it all happen right then? You can't brain dump, if you will?
That's when I usually start another painting, so sometimes I'll have several paintings going at once.
What is the best part of your work, of your process? What's your favorite part?
Just painting, like just actually being in front of the easel, putting the paint to the canvas. That itself is just calming to me.
Do you ever have a piece that you think, wow, that went terribly awry? That is just not a good painting. Or because it comes from such a soulful place, do they all end up being beautiful?
No, like I think it goes through ebbs and flows through like love-hate relationships with paintings, and so I just set it aside for a little bit and come back to it. And you change your perspective looking at it even a few days later. And so I don't feel like that really happens too much. And I don't think they're always beautiful, but I'm happy with them though.
What are the biggest challenges that come with that?
The business side of it, just figuring that out. How to promote yourself and do the businessy things in life.
Do you see yourself finding a different inspiration somewhere down the road, or do you think that your space as an artist is going to be that meditative space?
Right now, that's where I feel like I'll be, but we'll see what happens. You never know what happens in the future.
So you're open to that. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, your stuff is so beautiful. I'm also just really jealous that not only can you calm your mind like that, but then create beautiful work out of it. So thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today.
All right, thank you for having me.
For more information, visit fritzstudiofw.com.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by